A year from our past.
In a year from our past, we'll be doing a brief history look back at a year from each decade and what we remember from those years.
So Scott will be looking back at 1983, and I'll be covering 1993.
So I'll be getting it started with movies from 1983. Some popular movies that came out in this year were Flashdance, War Games, Sudden Impact, Staying Alive, Risky Business, Terms of Endearment, Trading Places, A Christmas Story, Krull, Sleepaway Camp, and of course Return of the Jedi. The best picture from 1983 was Terms of Endearment. The highest grossing movie from 1983 was Return of the Jedi with $375 million worldwide.
Some popular movies released in 1993 were Mrs. Doubtfire, The Firm, Cliffhanger, Philadelphia, The Fugitive, Sleepless in Seattle, Indecent Proposal, Schindler's List, and Jurassic Park. The movie that took away the Best Picture Oscar was Schindler's List, and the highest grossing film of 1993 was Jurassic Park, with an almost $915 million gross worldwide.
Wow, that was a big year for Steven Spielberg.
It was, indeed.
With Schindler's List and Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Schindler's List made at the box office, but definitely a great movie. Wasn't a movie that I could, rewatch often, but it was a movie that I did watch that year, and maybe one of my favorite Spielberg movies.
Yeah, I think it's really well done.
Jurassic Park was a great, theater experience. It was a movie I really enjoyed too. Some of those other movies from the 90s, Stallone and Cliffhanger, Miss Doubtfire. What was Miss Doubtfire?
That's Robin Williams. He dresses up as a nanny
yeah.
to try and get back into his ex-wife's
I
household.
thought that was earlier than the 90s, but some of the movies in 1983 I did enjoy and saw that year. A couple of them most people might not have heard of. Krull was kind of a sci-fi movie that I really liked that I actually saw that year. War Games, I think I saw that year. Other movies, Flashdance, Sudden Impact, Staying Alive.
Staying Alive is the sequel to Saturday Night Fever?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
With John Travolta.
Yeah.
A Christmas Story, I put that on there because it's actually one of my favorite Christmas movies to watch that I kind of watch almost every Christmas. And a lot of the other movies I saw when I was a little older, like Sleepaway Camp, had an ending that absolutely terrified me.
Oh, yeah. Same here.
I don't think the movie was that good and didn't really scare me, but the ending when she's standing there and she's a guy with a, big dong hanging out.
Yeah, I remember Sleepaway Camp. I saw it as a kid, and I was terrified of Angela, who's the central character. And I remember my siblings actually teasing me and be like, "Angela's coming to get you," and I would lose it. Like I would start crying and shit.
Yeah, I could see why. But Return of the Jedi, I definitely saw in the theater, and it was a good ending to a trilogy, and it was kind of sad because I kind of thought, there wasn't going to be any more Star Wars movies.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there shouldn't have been, who knows, but definitely a great third movie to a great trilogy.
Yeah, for me, the only film that really sticks out is Sleepaway Camp. And also Return of the Jedi, obviously. That was my favorite one as a kid because it had Jabba the Hutt and all those other interesting characters. You get to see Darth Vader's face. Risky Business, I think I saw later on with Tom Cruise and Rebecca De Mornay. And for the 1990s movies, Mrs. Doubtfire was one of my favorites. I quite liked Cliffhanger. The Fugitive, I think I saw in theater with my dad, and I thought it was pretty entertaining. For Schindler's List, as I said, is one of my favorite Spielberg movies. I mentioned it in a previous episode. And Jurassic Park was huge for me as a kid. They had all the merchandise as well. You had the Dino Fries and McDonald's and all these other toys that came along with it. So yeah, I think I'm more familiar with the '90s movies, but some of those in the '80s, I could still watch today.
All right, in 1983, hit music. Some hit songs from that year were Billie Jean and Beat It from Michael Jackson. Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler. Come On Eileen by the Dexy Midnight Runners. Do You Really Want to Hurt Me by the Culture Club, Africa from Toto, 1999 from Prince, and Down Under by Men at Work. The Song of the Year from the Billboard's Top 100 and the Grammy for the Song of the Year was Every Breath You Take by The Police.
And some hit music from 1993 was Runaway Train by Soul Asylum, I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles by The Proclaimers, What's Up by Four Non Blondes, Whoomp, There It Is by Tag Team, Two Princes by The Spin Doctors, Rhythm is a Dancer by Snap, and the theme from Cops, Bad Boys by Inner Circle. Song of the Year on the Billboard Top 100 was I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, and the song that took away the Grammy for the best song is A Whole New World from Aladdin.
A lot of the 90s music I didn't care for that much. The only two on that list that I kind of liked was What's Up by Four Non Blondes and I'm Gonna Be by The Proclaimers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are a lot of other songs not on this list that I kind of liked, but as far as the 80s goes, I mean, Billie Jean and Beat It by Michael Jackson, when that came out, I mean, that's when Michael Jackson started to become the superstar that he was. Total Eclipse of the Heart is a classic song. Come On Arlene, another classic. Culture Club were big. I wasn't a huge fan of theirs. Africa is a pretty, I would say is a great song.
Mm-hmm.
And Men at Work were a band that I was really into. I think an Australia band, obviously. And Every Breath You Take is quite a good song.
Yeah, some of that 80s music I can remember quite well. Yeah, I like a lot of the 80s songs. The Come On Eileen by Dexy's Midnight Runners, my friend's mother is actually in that music video. She's pushing one of her oldest sons, who was a baby at the time. She's pushing him in a stroller, or as they say in England, a pram. Yeah, those 80s songs are pretty classic. From the 90s, I remember liking Runaway Train quite a bit. And of course, I'm Gonna Be, the Proclaimers song, was popularized by the movie Benny and June with Johnny Depp. Yeah, some of the 90s songs I like quite a bit. Obviously, Bad Boys, the theme from Cops, is huge. And I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston from The Bodyguard.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Whitney Houston fan, but that song was actually pretty powerful.
Yeah, she
Or
has
at
a great
least
voice.
In the movie, it was.
Yeah, she
I
has.
think it's actually a Dolly Parton song.
Yeah,
written
that's
by
right.
Dolly Parton.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But yeah, she did a great job with it, I guess. And in 1983's TV news and other events in TV, we had Fraggle Rock first airing on HBO, and it's actually one of HBO's first original shows ever created. And the final episode of MASH aired with a record audience of 125 million watching. Some popular toys that came out in 1983, we had Cabbage Patch Dolls, and Mario Bros. Game debuted for Nintendo. I believe just in Japan, though. Some technical breakthroughs in 1983. Microsoft Word is first released. Didn't even realize it was that old. The U.S. Space Shuttle Challenger is launched. The Swatch is introduced. And the first mobile phones were made by Motorola. Some news and events from 1983. Margaret Thatcher became the Prime Minister in the UK. The United States invade Grenada. A 5.2 earthquake hits central New York. And Sally Ride on June 18th becomes the first American woman in space on the Space Shuttle Challenger.
Some notable TV moments from 1993 include Beavis and Butthead premiering on MTV, and Saved by the Bell broadcasts its series finale on NBC as the cast graduates. And in 1993, the first Got Milk commercial is broadcast on TV, and the TV Food Network makes its debut. A popular toy release from this year are Beanie Babies. Some technical breakthroughs from 1993 include the Pentium microprocessor introduced by Intel, Windows NT 3.1 is released by Microsoft, and with the release of Jurassic Park, we see the pioneering use of computer-generated imagery to produce moving images of prehistoric creatures. And also, ID Software's Doom is released, becoming a landmark title in the first-person shooter video games. Some news events from 1993 include the first female Prime Minister in Canada, Kim Campbell, and also the first World Trade Center bombing. We also have the Waco siege, beginning in Texas. And finally, we have child sexual abuse accusations against Michael Jackson.
So the 90s news, I remember when Kim Campbell?
Kim Campbell.
I remember when King Campbell became the first female prime minister. I think I was in university.
Quite short-lived, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it lasted a year. And I remember the first World Trade Center bombing. The Waco thing was always on the news. The Michael Jackson stuff, I don't remember hearing much about it at that time. I heard about it, maybe later on.
Mm-hmm.
Doom, I remember really liking that game, actually, and playing that against friends online.
Yeah, I love Doom. And then later on came Quake.
Yeah, Quake was the one that I would really liked, but I think Doom started it all.
Yeah.
It's also kind of weird. In 1983, we had the Cabbage Patch Dolls, which were huge. It was so popular.
Right.
And in demand and sold out and expensive. And then in 93, you had the same thing with Beanie Babies.
Yeah, and going on for the Beanie Babies things, did you ever see the picture of the couple that were getting divorced, and in court it had a huge pile of Beanie Babies, and they were sorting through, who could keep which ones?
I don't know if I saw that. I might
It's
have.
kind of a famous image on the internet now. But yeah, I remember Beanie Babies quite well. I never collected them or anything. I thought they were kind of silly. Beavis and Butthead was huge for young kids at the time, young boys. Saved by the Bell was one of those after-school specials that I tuned into regularly. And I remember the first Got Milk ads as well on TV. For the 1980s, the only thing that sticks out for me really is Microsoft Word. It's because, it's kind of ubiquitous in any office or any kind of workplace nowadays.
We're using it now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just in terms of the 90s news events, obviously the first World Trade Center bombing won't be remembered as much as the follow-up in 2001.
Yeah, there's a movie, I don't know if it came out, it might have came out in the 90s or the early 2000s that I really liked. That it's not a true story or based off this event, but it reminds me of that event. It was called Arlington Road with Tim Robbins.
Oh, I think I've heard of that,
And, it was really, really good movie, or at least the ending of it. I'm not going to give it away, but it's worth watching.
Yeah, and just the Waco siege. I saw that miniseries that came out with that Canadian actor Taylor Kish, who plays who's the guy in Waco?
David Koresh.
Yeah, David Koresh. He plays him. I think they have one of the Culkin brothers in that series as well. He's kind of like a side character, but yeah, it was really well done. Just showed how miscommunication between everyone just kind of led to utter disaster there. And the Michael Jackson thing I didn't learn until later on, when things like South Park would depict him as being this total weirdo who had a fascination with kids and stuff.
Of course, there's a lot more music, movies, and events from both 1983 and 1993, so feel free to let us know about your favorites and your memories from these specific years in the comments below, wherever you find this podcast.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you regarding these years and get your feedback. Now let's move on to the main topic of this episode. It's time for Battle of the Decade. Thanks for watching that clip, and if you like what you saw, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Leave us your comments below and check out more at 10yearsapart.com. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. You can find the full episode of that podcast this clip was from, plus other videos from us right here. Thanks again.